campers hats, camo hats, bucket hats. They have a whole bunch of different names, but we get tons and tons of questions on how the heck do we hoop these? How do we get embroidery onto these guys? And so today I'm going to show you how to do that. I will be using the Melco wide angle cap frame. This typically comes with all of the Melco EMT16 pluses, the Bravo C package, the Bernina E16 machines. So this is what we're going to show you on how to do it using the wide angle cap frame. So I am going to go ahead and put this on, and we're going to switch over to a different view, and I'm going to lose this hat because we're going to sew it. All right, so as you can see, we're going to show the top view and the side view of our cap gauge and how I'm going to hoop this. For the lack of a better term, I'm going to call it a bucket hat. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take and put one piece of backing down, and just like an unstructured cap, I'm going to use two pieces of cap backing. So the second piece that I've got has got some spray adhesive to it, so it's got a little bit of tackiness to it. I'm going to put that tacky up, and it's going to be the second piece that I put onto my gauge. Okay? So once I have that on my gauge, and once again I have that tacky up, I'm going to figure out on my hat which part is the front, which part is the back. On this one it's pretty easy because they put a tag on the back of this one, and it's got two air vents on either side. So this definitely is my front. I'm going to pull the sweatband out of the cap. Not all of them have a sweatband that removes. If not, just leave it in and just grab the brim of this cap. And I'm going to take it, and we'll go back to the up above view. And I'm going to take this guy and just work him in. And with the spray adhesive, it might be a little tacky, so no pun intended there. So once I've got that on there, I'm going to just take and kind of pull my cap. You can see these two vents here from the left side of your screen. You can see these vents. I'm going to pull those vents just a little bit heavy weighted to the left side. Just like a cap, when we take and clamp it, it's going to pull it over to the right a little bit. So that's why I've got it that way. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of take the sides of the cap, and I'm going to start on the left side and grab my sweatband, or my the band strap on the driver, the wide angle cap frame driver, and I'm going to work myself across so that I'm inside that seam. And then once I'm done with that side, making sure that I leave a little bit of space for the clamping, I'm making sure that that band runs right in there and it's nice and tight. So once I've got that on, I'm going to take and latch it on the side, and we can see that it's latched. And if I run my finger across this band, you can see that I'm not getting any waver from that. Okay, you want to make sure if you're getting any kind of waver from that over on this side, make sure that you tighten loosen these two bolts up, and then tighten the cap down. So I can just take and loosen these guys up here, tighten it down, and we're only doing this for the first one. So if you're doing multiples of these, you don't have to adjust the strap every single time, just the first time you're doing this type of bucket cap. So once you've got that, you can go ahead and take and latch it down. And so now I've got that latched down, and if we go just to the top view only, please, you can see that I've got a real nice area to sew on this cap. That literally is all there is to it. So I'm treating this cap just like I would an unstructured cap, and I'm just folding the sides of the brim of this bucket cap to the sides where it's out of my way. You're not going to get 270 degrees ear to ear, because this particular cap and most caps like this have air vents on them. They may be just holes in the material that have stitches around them, but you're definitely not going to want to sew over the top of those. So once we have that in place, we can go ahead and pull this guy off, and we have a hooped cap. So we're going to go over to the machine, and we're going to put it on just like we would with any regular cap. We're not going to take and push it on this way. We're going to take and pull it to the side and then rotate it until we're in place. And then we're just going to latch it in. Once we have it latched in, just make sure that bottom one's latched. We'll go over to our computer and we'll see that we're doing this letter M from Elko, of course. And we're going to do it in color sequence number 11, and we'll be stitching at about 1,000 stitches a minute. So back over to the machine. If you're not quite sure, because there's not a center seam on the bucket caps, if you're not quite sure where that is and you want to make sure that it's lined up correctly, you could always take and center it with a piece of painter's tape before you hoop it. In this case, I'm pretty sure I know where I want to be, and I am going to take and do a trace real quick. Yep, and that looks pretty good, so I will just go ahead and press start, and we'll let this guy sew out. I'll be right back with you as soon as that's done. While that's sewing out, we'll talk about a couple different cap frames. Some folks prefer the conventional cap frames. I can tell you the ones that have the green part across the top of them, similar, I believe, the Bravo A and B package come with. There's not enough room to get the sides of the bucket hat out of the way with that type of frame. This one here is the Gen 2 from Hooptech. And Hooptech says this is the one they suggest using for bucket caps. I personally am more of a wide angle cap frame fan, and that's the one that usually comes with our packages. So that's what I would suggest, but you can use it in the same manner that I did the wide angle. So rewatch how I did it with the wide angle, folding it over on the sides, getting it out of the way of the pivot points and the latch point of this hoop, and you should be able to figure that out. Not every bucket hat is made the same, so you may have to wiggle and work it a little bit different, but this video gives you the basics on how to hoop most of the bucket hats out in the industry. We're almost done with sewing. It looks like we've got about another 30 seconds, and we'll take a look and see how that comes out. All right, so now we're done sewing. I'm going to go ahead and take this off. Now, one thing that I didn't mention is anytime you're sewing with the cap system, you're going to want to adjust your presser foot height. Typically on a structured hat, we're going to be somewhere between 2 to 3 clicks down from the top to maybe 2 to 3 clicks from the bottom up. So it kind of depends on the thickness of the buckram on that cap and the material it's made on. This hat, the bucket hat, because it's more like an unstructured hat, I'm all the way down with the presser foot and 1 click up. So just remember to check your presser foot height. Let's take this off and take a look at the embroidery. And which one would be better? Maybe if we take the side view here. And you can see that now I've got sewing or embroidery on my bucket hat. So I will take and unhoop this guy. And I will remove it from the frame, and then removing the backing, take and just do one piece of tearaway at a time. Don't try to rip both out at the same time. It has a tendency to pull on the stitches, potentially ripping the hat. So with that out, let's take and put my hat back on now that I'm officially Melco-ized. And let's get it around the right way. And there we go, guys. So that's how you do it. You can hoop these bucket caps too. Watch this video, give us some likes, give us some comments. Thanks for being a